Hey, everybody. I hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the word. And today, that word is noticed. Noticed. Now, if we're honest, we like to be noticed. We like for people to see what we have to offer and what we have to give. And oftentimes, we enjoy having those things that make people notice us. Now, you may hear that and think, hey, that's not me. That's not my personality. And everybody's personality is different. Some are introverts, some are extroverts, right? Some keep it a little quiet, some are loud and proud all the time. But when we think about spiritual gifts, I think we all have a longing to be used. We should, spiritually speaking, we should absolutely have a desire to be used by God. But sometimes we'll look at the spiritual gifts and we'll think, okay, well, I got to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. And then we start looking at others and what they need to do. And maybe we want to be noticed for our gift, or maybe we get jealous because other people, maybe their gift gets noticed more than ours. Right? There's this, as long as we got people in the church, we know that there's going to be discord. We know there's going to be some envy and some jealousy. It shouldn't be, but we know that as sinful creatures, that's what the tendency and the temptation is. Now, if we keep our eyes focused on God, we can overcome all of those adversities. But now, as Paul is continuing his thought here today in 1 Corinthians 14, remember yesterday, he's been talking about the spiritual gifts, talking about the way that you have to have each spiritual gift. It doesn't matter if you don't have love. We talked about that yesterday. It is nothing without love. Today, he does spend a lot. He spends a lot more time using the example of speaking in tongues, and he gets to some examples of it, and he says, "Look, it really doesn't make sense for that to be going on. It's really not for the believers; it's for unbelievers, and there's a lot of chaos." He said that there shouldn't be. God is a God of order, and so he sets forth even some things that some kind of regulations for an orderly church service, speaking in turn and taking turns and limiting how many people are speaking. And if you do have someone speaking in tongues, that there's an interpreter, and that even that tongues themselves, speaking in other languages, was even that more of a sign of judgment than anything else. But so many people wanted to be able to speak in tongues. So many people would claim that they could speak in angelic, this heavenly language that nobody else could understand. Well, what purpose does that serve? That's what Paul was getting at. He said, okay, well, if it's between you and God, then that's great. What does it do for everybody else? What does it do for the body? Now, I say all that to lead up to what Paul says in verse 12 of 1 Corinthians 14. He says, even so, you, since you are zealous for spiritual gifts, let it be for the edification of the church that you seek to excel. In other words, no matter what God has blessed you with, has gifted you with, I told you we all have the same spirit. We all have access to the same spiritual gifts. Yes, he has strengthened some of us in different ways than others. And I've used this example countless times, even with Christy and myself, right? That my wife, she is the things that I'm strong in, she may be weak in. And the things I'm weak in, that's what she's strong in. And God has put us together for just that purpose, right? That together we are completing what he wants us to do. Now, if you think about that within the context of the body of the church, right? All of the church, each and every one of us have to be doing our part. So he says, look, it's great that you're having this zealous desire to have spiritual gifts and use them mightily. He said, but don't try to pick and choose the ones that are out in front of everybody that will get you noticed. What you need to do is seek to be gifted in a way that will build up the church. Seek to be gifted in a way that will bring the body of Christ together, that it will help the weaker ones, that it will help continue to lift the stronger ones, that it will help us all as the body of Christ to move forward completing the mission that God has given us. He says, if you want to be zealous for anything, if you want to be noticed for anything, be noticed for the fact that you gave it all for somebody else. You gave it all so that someone else in the body would be strengthened. No wonder as he talks about the body that, a few chapters before, that, hey, when one weeps, we all weep. When one rejoices, we all rejoice. That's what building up does. It builds a connection. That's our church theme this year. It builds relationship. And so that way when you're up, man, you got a cheering section with you. And even when you're down, you've got that cheering section that will help bring you back up. But at the same time, when you're weeping over a loss or over something that's going on, you don't have ones that just look and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'll be praying for you. No, you have a body of believers that will weep alongside with you. Now just think about that. Why would we seek any other spiritual gift if it was just a lone gift? Something that we only used for our good, only used for our benefit. That's not a spiritual gift at all. If we want to be gifted and used by God, he says, be zealous about excelling for building up the body. You know what? It doesn't matter if nobody else notices. God will take notice. And that's all that matters. God bless you. And I pray you have a great, great day.